You're tuning into The Deep Dive, and today, well, we're heading to Tirana. That's the capital of Albania.
Right.
And just picture this. You've got a city nestled between mountains, but it also opens out towards the Adriatic Sea.
Yeah, quite a location. And that geography, it's definitely played a part in its story over the centuries.
Absolutely. It's been a witness to so much history.
Mm-hmm. And you see how different influences have just kind of washed over it and left their mark because of where it sits.
It's fascinating. I mean, think about it. This was a city that was, deliberately isolated during the communist years. Very cut off.
Totally cut off, yeah.
And now it's just this vibrant, colorful, really energetic place. It's quite a transformation.
It really is. And you can almost read that timeline, in the buildings themselves.
How so?
Well, you've got bits of the Ottoman past, then there's that Italian fascist era architecture, quite grand in places.
Right.
And then the really functional, maybe stark socialist era stuff. It's all there, kind of layered on top of each other, making up the city you see today.
So our mission here, for you listening, is basically to unpack all that. We want to pull out the most, compelling bits of Tirana's journey, its key sites,
right,
and give you a really solid but, quick understanding of what makes this city tick, like the essential Tirana briefing.
Exactly. We're not just listing places. We want to get into the why, why did it change? What forces shaped it?
Okay, let's do it. So where do we begin? The founding. That was 1614 officially.
That's the date they settled on, yeah. It's credited to Suleyman Bargini. He was an Ottoman general.
Okay.
And he set up the basics, really. A mosque, for prayer,
yeah.
A bakery people got to eat.
Right.
And hammam, a Turkish bath.
Which was actually pretty central to Ottoman life, not just for hygiene, but socially too.
So a fairly standard Ottoman town set up to begin with. Not exactly a world capital back then.
Oh, definitely not. For centuries, it was, just a modest town. Important locally, maybe, but not on the big map.
Mm-hmm.
It really stayed that way for quite a long time.
Until the big change, 1920, right. That was the pivotal moment, yes.
Yeah.
1920, when Tirana was declared the capital of Albania.
Wow. Okay, so becoming the capital, that must have just kick-started a whole new era for the place. What changed immediately?
Well, everything, really. Yeah. Suddenly it's the center of government, the focus of the nation.
Yeah.
That meant growth, modernization efforts started, more attention from outside Albania, too. Investments started trickling in. It put Tirana on a completely different path.
Right, which leads us into the 20th century. And that was, a roller coaster for Albania. And for Tirana especially.
Absolutely. Huge changes.
You mentioned earlier that European architectural styles started appearing. When was that and why?
That was mainly during King Zog's time, before World War II, and then also under the Italian occupation.
Okay.
There was this definite push to look more European, more Western. It was about aligning Albania with those powers, adopting their styles and city planning. You start seeing, wider streets, more imposing formal buildings.
Interesting. But then after the war, things swung dramatically the other way with Enver Hoxha and the communist regime.
Oh, completely. A total ideological shift. Hoxha's focus was, absolute self-reliance, isolationism.
Right, cutting Albania off.
Exactly. And Tirana, as the capital, became the showcase for this. Architecture became super utilitarian, functional, no frills, often quite gray and, imposing. It had to reflect the state's power and the collective ideal.
A real visual break from what came before.
Definitely.
And then, boom, 1991, communism falls. The city has to reinvent itself all over again. What was that like? Must have been chaos.
It was definitely a period of, let's say, energetic chaos.
Yeah.
A huge release of pent-up energy. This is when you see those famous brightly painted buildings start appearing. A very deliberate splash of color after decades of gray.
A visual rebellion almost?
Kind of, yeah. A symbol of freedom.
Yeah.
But it also brought big challenges.
Yeah.
Unplanned construction, economic struggles. It wasn't all smooth sailing.
I can imagine. Okay, so let's talk about Tirana today. What are the must-see places that really tell this story? Maybe start with the main square. Skanderbeg Square.
Right, Skanderbeg Square. You can't miss it. It's the absolute heart of the city.
Named after the national hero, Gjorgje Kastrioti Skanderbeg.
Exactly, a 15th century leader who fought the Ottomans. So the square itself is loaded with symbolism about Albanian identity, resistance, resilience.
It's huge, right? Mostly pedestrian.
Yeah, it's vast. Really designed for people to gather. You see everything there, national celebrations, sometimes protests, just people hanging out. It's the city's living room.
And surrounding it, you have these key buildings. the National History Museum.
Which gives you the whole sweep of Albanian history.
The Etem Bey Mosque.
A beautiful Ottoman-era mosque.
And the clock tower. It's like a snapshot of different eras right there.
It really is. You've got the national narrative in the museum, and then these tangible links to the Ottoman past right next door with the mosque and the clock tower. It shows you those layers we talked about.
That mosque, the Etem Bey Mosque, is pretty special, isn't it? Built late 18th century, survived Hoxha's ban on religion.
Its survival is quite something. It shows how deeply embedded it was in the cultural fabric, even for an atheist state.
And inside, I heard the decorations are unusual.
They are. It has these incredibly detailed frescoes, but they depict landscapes, trees, bridges, things you don't typically see inside a mosque. They're beautiful, and it's just got this very peaceful feel inside, a real contrast to the busy square.
Okay, then shifting gears dramatically, the bunkers. Bunkar 1 and 2.
Ah, yes. The bunkers, a unique Tirana experience.
Turning Cold War paranoia into museums. What's the idea there?
It's about confronting that recent past, I think, not hiding it. These bunkers were built out of fear, thousands of them across the country.
Right.
The Bunkar 1 is a bit outside the city in this massive bunker meant for the elite. It focuses more on the military history, the scale of the preparations for an attack that never came.
Gives you a sense of the regime's mindset.
Exactly, the paranoia.
Yeah.
And then Bunkar 2 is right downtown. That one's in a bunker, built for the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and it focuses specifically on the Signorini, the political police.
So more about repression and surveillance.
Precisely. It's quite chilling, honestly. It deals with the victims of the regime, the methods of control. It's designed to make you think about that darker side of the communist era.
Wow. That sounds intense but important.
Very. It's about not forgetting what happened.
Okay, another very different, very visible landmark is the pyramid.
Ah, the pyramid. You can't miss that either.
Originally built as a museum for Enver Hoxha.
Yes. Opened in 1988, just before the system collapsed. It was meant to glorify him.
And then after 91, it just sat there.
Pretty much. It fell into disrepair, became this kind of controversial, slightly derelict symbol of the past. People used to climb up the sides.
I have some pictures of that.
Yeah. But now it's being completely transformed, renovated into a big center for youth, for technology, IT training.
So it's gone from dictator museum to tech hub.
Exactly. It's probably the most potent symbol of Tirana's reinvention. Taking this relic of the past and turning it into something forward-looking for the next generation. It's pretty powerful.
That really is symbolic. Okay, away from the concrete and history, Tirana also has green spaces, right? The Grand Park?
Yes, the Grand Park and the artificial lake. It's a huge green space south of the main square.
What's it like? What do people do there?
It's essential, really. A place to escape the city buzz. You see everyone there, people jogging, families having picnics, friends meeting for coffee by the lake. It's just a really important recreational space.
A breathing space for the city.
Totally. And you've also got the presidential palace nearby, and the botanical gardens are part of it too, so it's got that formal side as well.
Nice. And for views over the city, Mount Daci.
Oh yeah, Mount Daci.
Yeah.
You take the cable car up, the Daci Express.
A cable car. Cool.
It's quite a ride. Austrian built, I think. Really long. And the views as you go up, you see the whole city spread out, the sprawl, and then the mountains behind, even the sea on a clear day.
Fantastic. And what's at the top?
It's a national park. So hiking trails, fresh air, a couple of hotels and restaurants with obviously amazing panoramic views.
Yeah.
It's a great escape, very popular with locals and tourists.
Sounds brilliant. Okay, one last key experience getting a taste of local life. The markets. Pazari Airi.
Yes, the new bazaar, Pazari Airi. It's been renovated recently, but it's still got that lively market feel.
What can you find there?
All sorts. Lots of fresh fruit and veg, olives, cheeses, local honey, souvenirs. But also, it's become a real hub for food and drink. Lots of cool cafes, bars, restaurants tucked in and around the main market building.
So a good place to just wander, grab a bite, soak it all in.
Definitely. Great people watching. You really feel the energy of modern Tirana there alongside the traditional market stuff. It's a great mix.
So if you put all these pieces together, Skanderbeg Square, the mosque, the bunkers, the pyramid, the park, the mountain, the bazaar,
Yeah.
it really paints a picture of a city that's, I don't know, constantly moving, constantly evolving. History isn't hidden away in Tirana, is it?
Not at all. It's right there. You walk through it. There's this real feeling of rediscovery happening. A cultural awakening, maybe.
Yeah.
The city is figuring out how to deal with its complex past, Ottoman, Italian, communist, post-communist, while building something new and energetic.
It sounds like a raw, authentic kind of place. Not overly polished, maybe.
That's a good way to put it. It has grit. It feels real. You get this blend of East and West, old and new. It's not always easy. You can see the challenges, but it's dynamic.
So whether you're exploring a bunker, sipping a coffee, learning about Skanderbeg, it offers a lot of different layers.
Absolutely. It keeps surprising you, I think. It definitely defies simple labels.
Well, after diving into Tirana's story like this, you can't help but be impressed. It's resilience, you know? From that small Ottoman town through the harsh isolation to this lively, complicated, colorful capital it is now. It's quite inspiring.
It really is. It shows how cities can absorb these huge historical shocks and somehow forge ahead.
And maybe that's the final thought to leave people with. Well, think about how cities everywhere are wrestling with their past, right? Difficult histories, changing identities.
Through its constant process.
Tirana's journey seems particularly intense, with such distinct, often conflicting chapters packed into the last century or so. Maybe looking at how Tirana is navigating that, preserving some things, radically transforming others, like the pyramid. Maybe that gives us a unique lens on how cities everywhere try to build a future while, still living with their ghosts.
That's a great point. How do cities reconcile heritage with progress? Especially when the heritage is so complex. Tirana certainly gives you a lot to think about on that front. Fascinating case study.